Hey, what's going on? Joe Coffey here for PremierGuitar.com. We're at Summer NAMM 2009. Actually, pre-Summer NAMM. They call this the pre-NAMM show with Randy Fuchs and Artist Relations. It's where artists and manufacturers get together to check out new gear. So, of course, we're going to swoop in and check out the new stuff. We're going to start with Seymour Duncan. I've got Frank Falbo with me here. Frank, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good to see you. Well, tell us about new stuff from Seymour Duncan.
Okay, well, right now, the freshest thing off of the line is new Stack Pluses. For years, we've had a classic Stack Plus pickup, vintage voice, single coil, neck, middle, and bridge. And to add to that, the offering, in winter we released a hot Stack Plus, very, very hot, screaming, hot bridge pickup for guys who, want a power strat. But here for summer, we're also releasing something called a Vintage Hot Stack Plus, which would be to take the classic Stack Plus, which is voiced like a vintage single coil, and beef it up a little bit. So you're going to think of it like an overwound vintage single coil. So when you need just a little more kick in the bridge, or if you want to throw it in the neck with a hotter bridge pickup, it's just that little extra punch. Custom Stack Plus is if everybody's familiar with our SSL5 Custom. It just surfaced recently in David Gilmour's signature strat and up at the bridge position, and it's been one of our more popular single coils for a good number of years. Well, the Custom Stack Plus takes that coil recipe and places it in the Stack Plus design. So now you have the classic Stack Plus, bridge, middle, and neck. You've got the Vintage Hot, which can be used in the bridge or in the neck. You've got the Custom Stack Plus, which could be used in the bridge or in the neck with something like the Hot Stack Plus in the bridge. So you have a full complement of Stack Plus. Anybody who wants a noiseless strat setup, now from Seymour Duncan, shouldn't have anything to desire. We hit all the bases. Sticking with guitar pickups, Seymour and MJ over in the custom shop actually just came up with a really cool new product, and that is these fat staples. What you've got here is, for years everybody's, had that staple pickup in the neck position of some Les Pauls in the P90 housing. Well, we've got, P90s inside of humbucker housings. What Seymour did was to say, let's take this Alnico staple design and bring that into the humbucker housing, available in cream and black. And one cool thing that does is you can get now a bridge and a neck version. It's rare that you see somebody with an Alnico staple pickup, a P90 sized, over in the bridge, but they did it. They went ahead and voiced one for the bridge, and it's really cool.
How would you describe the sound?
The sound is very clear and very bell-like. It's very, very open, so it has a lot of dynamic range. It doesn't. The way that these Alnico pole pieces are, they don't really deliver like a Stratitis, where you have that round Alnico pole and you get it too close to the string and it's a little warbly. These kind of dither the magnetic field out a little bit, so that you don't really have that strong pop at the beginning of the attack, like you would in a Strat, or if it was just other Alnico poles, because there's just these big fat poles. All that mass, all that metal mass in the coil also changes it. Everything around the pickup changes the inductance and, all that stuff. And so jazz cats will love it, rockabilly. You can absolutely play blues on it, especially in a solid body like this. It opens up all these more possibilities. It doesn't have to just be in the neck pickup of that old Les Paul reissue anymore. You can stick it in anything. And it's just fantastic. Blackouts for bass are now shipping for all the bass players, 4 and 5 string. One thing that you may have heard us say before is, when we've been looking at the current active offerings, they leave a lot. Well, for some people, they've left a lot to be desired. Okay, on the bass side, generally what you see when people are using active bass pickups, voice for metal, they are cranking the lows, they're cranking the highs on their preamp on the guitar, they're cranking the highs and lows over at the amp, and they're using maybe something in between or another EQ. What we've done is to put some of that tone right in the pickup, so you have just tremendous crack on the top end, tremendous high end, nice deep lows coming right out of the pickup, as opposed to sort of a dry, sterile, flat pickup that you then have to go and EQ later. So when you drop these things in, instantly you're going to notice a huge difference, huge difference. You may even go to your amp and cut some of that tremendous boost that you have there that may be adding even some noise, because these pickups just deliver. We talked about the Deja Vu at Winter NAMM. Those are now shipping. Deja Vu is everything that you'd ever want in a digital delay, everything that you'd want in an analog delay. If you see, I've got our DNA blend knob right here. If I go all the way over here, when I play, you get the sound of a digital delay. It sounds exactly like what I just played into it. I bring it over here, and the signal actually passes through a bucket brigade. There's true bucket brigade delay in there, just like any other analog delay. But because I've married it up with the digital section, I end up being able to get as much as 20 seconds of delay or 20 seconds of looping. On the knob, you go from 0 to like 2,600 milliseconds, so you have that kind of range. But when you use the tap tempo, again, another cool thing that you have with digital delays that is you don't find very often on analog delays, you can tap in or press and hold all the way up to the 20 seconds, so you can really do whatever you want with the delay. And then I can mix them in between too, so I have the digital, I have the analog. I can also sweep that knob somewhere in between. If there's modulation on the bucket brigade side, that mixed sound is just fantastic. It's kind of like placing an analog chorus on your delay, but not murkying up your dry signal. So a lot of cool stuff you can do there. We're shipping the double back compressor. Many of you guys have heard about this. It is a top quality compressor, lightning fast attack, but then that frees you up to do what we did here on the double back side of things. When I have a lightning fast attack, I go now to the double back and I can blend in dry signal that's not compressed, either highs like the bright channel on a plexi or a bright switch on a Fender, or I can blend in like a fat mid boost, or I can blend in the full range. And what happens when I blend it in, as long as we're looking at the pedal, it's kind of funny, this graphic sort of tells the story. If this orange section was your compressed signal and the black section was your uncompressed signal, it's like whenever I hit really hard, I get out beyond the limitations of my compressed signal. So I'm no longer stuck, like I don't have this ceiling anymore where I hit really hard and nothing comes out, And that's everyone's complaints with compressors. When I play on a compressor, I feel disconnected from the amp. I feel like I lost my expressiveness. I can't dig into my notes. You can't do a Robert Cray or a Stevie Ray with an old style compressor on, because it just puts an absolute brick wall up on the top end of the note. To compensate for that, you can take a long attack time. But then that's kind of an artificial thing. That's like turning the volume up for just a second and then down again. And it only works if you've stopped for a second for the compressor to reset. Otherwise, if you're strumming chords, even with a long attack time, the compressor's already working. So it didn't have time to recover and then give you your little attack back. The double back absolutely does that. Twin Tube Blue, shipping now. That is a lower gain tube than the Classic or the Mayhem. Again, I touched on, like if you're going to go after a Robert Cray type of sound or a Stevie Ray sound, Buddy Guy kind of a sound, that's the place where you'll start, the Twin Tube Blue. There's plenty of gain on the lead channel, so you can use it for your complete, preamp. I mean, it's not like you have to have this plus, something else for high gain. But if you want to use it for lower gain stuff, you can work the two channels and have, basically clean with it off, a little bit of grit with it on, and, kind of like a fat lead sound on the lead channel. So it really fits in nicely against the Twin Tube Classic and the Mayhem. Classic, if you're going for classic rock, you're going for Santana-style sounds, you're trying to do those things. Twin Tube Classic is perfect. The Mayhem is all things metal.
You guys cover a lot of ground between these three.
Yeah, between these three, there's a tube product that can cover basically anything. I had a rack tube preamp that I just couldn't let go of in my rig, and then finally the Twin Tube Blue came out, and now that's gone. So yeah, I mean, I can, between all these three of these things, I can basically, mock up any sound that I hear in my head.
Frank, as always, thanks for the rundown. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
As always, if people want to find out more about Seymour Duncan products, where can they go online?
Well, of course, they go to www.seymourduncan.com.
All right, thanks, man. I'm Joe Coffey. You're watching PremierGuitar.com.